Check out my orchid. Isn't she beautiful? I got her from Lowe's. She was marked down to about $4, I think. And she started blooming with one bloom, and she's continued to keep all her blooms. I think I'm going to have 2 or 3 more, and it doesn't look like any of the original ones have even started to turn brown. But I will say about rescuing orchids from big box stores, like this one came from Lowe's, the first thing you need to do is take it out of that pot. They have the roots in the little pot, and you need to take it out. Put it in something bigger, and then just water it every couple of days when the root ball gets dry, and it will grow. If you do that, it will grow for you. And she was pretty much dead. There was just a leaf. The first thing I do when I buy big box reduced items, especially orchids, is I pull them out of their pot. Especially an orchid, all orchids need to come out of the pot that they come in. Put it in something bigger, and then just leave it in that, and then water it only when the root ball, this medium here, is dry. Soak it in water and then pour it out, and soon enough your orchid will start blooming too. That video was made February 2nd. I just checked the timestamp. Today is April 2nd, and look, she is still blooming. She's still got all her blooms, and it's amazing. I've never had an orchid last this long before. So it's sat up here in this window since February. The only time I take it down is to add water. All I do is add water into the cup. I fill it all the way up, and then I let it sit for a couple of hours, sometimes overnight, and then I drain the water out the next day and place it back in the window, like so. Carefully. Oops. Don't want to knock over one of my flamingos. It seems to like it in this window here, and so that's where I leave it. There is a little Vietnamese lady that on YouTube, I can't remember her name, but she suggested that you would put some aloe vera, a couple of drops of aloe vera in your water. I've done that once. It's supposed to make the blooms last longer, and looks like that that was true, because look how long these blooms have lasted. It's insane. So really that's all the tips I have, is to put a little bit of aloe vera juice into your water every now and then, and to when you get an orchid from a big box store, to immediately rinse it off with a sprayer under your sink or bathtub to make sure it doesn't have any mites or hitchhikers. And then take it out of the container that you got it in, because those containers are never helpful. They're never good for people. I don't know why they put them in there. I guess they want them to die so that you have to buy more. But the first thing I do is take it out of a container and put it into something that has a little more room, like this glass. A friend of mine actually brought me a native orchid, and as you can see, I just have it in this container here sitting on some mulch. It's better to put it on some moss, some sphagnum moss, or I think that's what you call it. But put it on some moss if you have some, but I didn't. So I just put a little bit of mulch in there, and then I do the very same thing with it. I just once a week, or you know, whenever I get time, I fill up the container with water, and then I let it sit, and then I pour it out and just sit the orchid under water, under light. And as you can see, the roots on this orchid are white, and that's what you want them to be. If they're brown and soggy, you want to cut them off. And if they start, if there's like one that's fine, but if it starts growing 2 or 3 more bulbs, you want to separate it so that if one of them dies, they don't all die. This is an orchid I brought back from Mexico, and it's not doing so good, but as you can see, it's got multiple bulbs. I actually had to bring this back hidden in my luggage, so in my checked bag. But you can see the roots look good. They're white, not brown and mushy. This one over here is drying up and dying, and you can see what it looks like when it's not doing so good. The roots are becoming brown and mushy, right? So none of these have bloomed, and I bought them from a little lady on the corner, and I don't know, in Mazamila, Mexico, and so I don't know what they are. All I knew is that she kept telling me that they were morado, which means they were purple. So, so yeah, that's my experience with orchids. Let me know if you have any good tips on how to keep your orchids alive, and if you have any clue as to what these things are. As you can see, these guys right here, they're getting wrinkly, whereas this one doesn't look wrinkly. It looks plump, right? And that's the difference between ones that are dying and ones that are not. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more gardening videos. And I'll do an update when one of these blooms eventually.